What's going on? I'm at the tail end of my workout. A little tired, winded. I got this measly weight on, but it's fun. I used to blaze this off. The most I've ever done this was 36 times, and now I'm, just doing sets of 10. I'm feeling it. Mixing. I'm supersetting it, mixing with other things, but I'm feeling it. So I'm knocking on 50's door. Knocking on 50's door. And so for all of you that want to get back into fitness, that want to start to hammer it, get your body right, get lean, get stronger. Doesn't matter if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s. That doesn't matter. What does matter is that you need to have a plan, but then also, which is more important as far as I'm concerned, you can have the best plan in the world, seemingly, but unless you know where you're more prone for injury, so meaning where you're more susceptible to get injured, then you can have a phenomenal plan, you can have a phenomenal workout, you can have a phenomenal workout partner, you can have a quote unquote phenomenal fitness professional. But unless they tell you specifically, okay, we got a problem, here, and here, it gives you a pretty specific plan on how they can attack it and how you can get quote unquote structurally sound, you might be putting yourself in a less than advantageous position. All right, so who am I? For those of you who do not know, and probably most of you, I've been in the whole fitness world for the last 20 plus years. Just looking at myself, man, my eyes are red. I just took some pre-workout, and for whatever reason, this stuff seems to make my eyes red. I might be slightly allergic. Anyway, teach the National Academy of Sports Medicine. So that's what I do. But my niche is, I used to be the power explosion guy. I have people, jump over the buildings, kick down steel doors, that kind of thing, right? Now I'm pretty much all into just getting people out of pain. That's it. That's all I want to do is help people get out of pain. And it's easy. I'm meeting people who've been in pain for 5, 10, 15 years. I mean, that's terrible. But for the most part, the vast majority of people don't have to deal with that kind of pain, because the recipe to get out of pain for most people is pretty easy. The problem is they don't have the recipe. They don't have the formula. They don't have the blueprint. Most fitness professionals don't even know what I do even exists. They think, okay, if you're in pain, you have to go see, pain management practitioner. You have to go see a physical therapist, things of that nature. You do not have to do that. But most people don't know. They go to, most fitness professionals don't know anything about corrective exercise. I mean, truth be told, most fitness professionals can't even spell corrective exercise. That's terrible, I know. But it's the truth. I mean, but really what it comes down to, I don't know about, I'm sure they probably can't spell corrective, but what it comes down to is you have to know the body. More specifically, you have to know how the muscles work and interact together, right? So if you're in pain right now, nothing works in a vacuum. And more than likely, the reason why you're in pain probably isn't because of that exact area where you feel the pain. It's either occurring above or somewhere below. So it's other musculature that might be attached either to that area or around it that's pulling your skeletal system one way or the other, because those muscles are deemed quote unquote overactive. And so your underactive muscles, the muscles that aren't firing properly or aren't as strong to go against. So you have your agonist and antagonist. So if the agonist is pulling a little bit more than what it should, the antagonist gets overly stretched, gets weaker, and therefore can't do its job properly. When that happens, then the skeletal system begins to move, therefore pulling your ligaments more than what they should, therefore pulling on your tendons more than what you should, and therefore, over time, pain starts to develop. It's easy as that. So what we need to do is you need to be able to identify where exactly you have a problem, where you have an issue. It's not terribly hard because there are some practitioners out there that they love the good old overhead squat. And overhead squat isn't bad, but I teach all of my students that more times than not, the overhead squat isn't necessary, not even a little bit. Now, it can give you information, absolutely. But I want my people who I instruct to be able to look at somebody, and for the most part, 95% of the time, everything the overhead squat can tell you, you should be able to discern just by them walking towards you, or just having them move in a different way. To, basically say, okay, what I was originally thinking is that the problem? So you definitely need confirmation. So just because you might think something, okay, make sure I have my people make sure they do enough tests to where it's like, okay, I was correct. And so now we know exactly how to proceed. But you don't necessarily have to go to a physical therapist. Now listen, physical therapy practitioners are ridiculously smart. Now, of course, just like any other field, you have your phenomenal ones and you have your bumps too, right? But for the most part, they're very smart people. And they know the body exceptionally well, especially if they have a doctor of physical therapy. The problem is, and hopefully I don't get banned by saying this, but the problem is the insurance companies, they keep people's hands tied, right? What do I mean? Well, your muscles, as I stated earlier, muscles don't work in a vacuum. So if you have pain in a particular area, okay, just to back up, and I'm sure I'm going to be explaining this in a video at some point, but just to kind of give you an example, you can have some pain in your neck, and so you talk to insurance companies like, all right, well, you got pain in the cervical spine, so the physical therapist can only necessarily work on the cervical spine. But the pain, the results, the root of the problem, the root of the problem could technically be coming from the foot and ankle complex. And just following that kinetic chain, everything ends up right at the cervical spine. So the body's it's a pretty crazy thing, and it works. It tries to be as efficient as possible. So the fact is always fighting the force of gravity, pushing you down. I tell my students all the time, but we're definitely going to get into this later on. Your body is always 24/7, always playing a game of Jenga, right? So what do I mean? Well, just to kind of put it in brief, if this is your body here and you have one joint going this way, right? Well, we have a lot of more tension over here. So what is in the Jenga, you have to move it to where we have more force this way. So you'd have your butt sticking out this way, and then that affects your feet. You know what I mean? So your body's always fighting against gravity. And so your body can move, forward, backwards, can move laterally, and the head, ends up moving accordingly. So that being the case, you need to be able to discern what exactly you have going on. Okay, so I'm saying all of this to say, you can get in the gym and could be doing the right thing. You're lifting, you're banging out your cardio, you're doing great as far as your consistency. But if you can't figure out where you're more susceptible for injury. Not to say it's going to happen, but it is a possibility that just doing a simple exercise, even if you have good form, you could end up with a problem. Meaning you could end up straining something, tearing something. Again, even if your form is good. Why? Because if we're going and constantly overloading those overactive muscles, and so consequently the antagonist or the underactive muscles aren't firing the way they should, then you're making the problem worse. Okay? And a lot of times, unfortunately, people justify it. They say, I'm just getting old, so I'm starting to shrink, or, my posture, I just have to sit up more and my posture is going to get better. And that's not a bad thing. I mean, obviously, the more you sit up and you're aware of it, the easier it's going to be to stay conscious of it and say, okay, I need to sit up right. And that's a good thing. Is that necessarily the end all be all? No, absolutely not. So the musculature needs to strengthen to keep you in that proper position. Like right now, I'm talking to you guys. I'm slouching. My head is forward. I'm rounded forward. And a lot of us sit like this throughout the day and you don't even realize it, right? I'm staying like this because I don't want to sit. Oh, actually, I thought I was going to be out of frame. I guess I can sit up. But most of us are, here. We're down. So it puts a lot more strain. Again, a lot of posteriorly, we end up getting weaker than what we should be, right? So anteriorly, we're a lot stronger than what we should. But I'll get into all that good stuff later on as far as the specific musculature that we need to strengthen, all that good stuff. But again, you need to find somebody that can tell you specifically where you're more susceptible for injury. If you're a fitness professional that come across this video, if you don't have that information, are you truly doing right by your clientele? Yeah, you can get them lean, and that's great. But are you setting themselves up for injury later on? Possibly. I mean, I would say probably, honestly. So that being the case, it's up to you guys. If where's your moral compass, right? So if you feel okay with it, like I got them lean, that's my job, and that's it. Okay, cool. If you want to be able to learn that, then find a practitioner who can teach you. You can always reach out to me. That's what I do. But you need to find somebody that can help you out, right? I teach here at ATI, phenomenal school. But yeah, if you want to reach out to me, don't live in the Vegas area, want to reach out to me, you're certainly more than welcome to reach out. So I hope you found some value out of this. Again, whether in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 80s, even. I still help my pop out. He's pretty active. He's young and spry, and he's in his 80s, but he's still punching and, kicking. So he's doing all right. My mother, not so much. She's, she's not a big exerciser. But anyway, so it really doesn't matter what age you are. You can get better. You can get leaner. You can get more flexible. Real quick, the difference between flexibility and mobility. Flexibility is how far your musculature can, how much movement the musculature has in the tendons, right? That's flexibility. Mobility is how much control you have in those extreme ranges of motion, okay? So there is a difference between the two. So just so you know, we need the flexibility, but the more flexible you are, we really need to make sure that the mobility is there. So the control is there. And that's where you have, between the two, if you get those two merged, you marry the two, woo, you can have a phenomenal quality of life, right? So again, hope this helped. If this interests you, you can always reach out to me. But I look to give you guys some more value as we go, and talk to you soon.